Tonight, when the sun goes down, you're going to flip a switch. Light will flood the room and you won't think twice about it. But for 99.9% of human history, that switch didn't exist. When the sun set, the world went dark. But the real answer to what happened in that darkness is far stranger than you might think. You probably imagine our ancestors huddled in terror, waiting for the dawn. You picture them silent. You picture them afraid. But the truth is, the night was not a time of fear. It was the crucible where human consciousness was forged. Think about your own mind right now. It is constantly buzzing with schedules, notifications, and anxieties about tomorrow. Your brain is a machine optimized for daylight productivity. But your ancestors didn't have schedules. They had the sun. And when the sun vanished, their brains shifted into a completely different mode of operation. What did they actually think about when the world disappeared? To understand this, we have to look at the work of anthropologist Polly Weisner. She spent decades studying the Juhoansi Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies on Earth. Weisner discovered something profound about how humans use time. During the day, 80% of their conversations were about practical matters. They talked about hunting, they talked about gathering, they complained about their neighbors. It was the ancient equivalent of office gossip and logistical planning. But when the sun went down and the fire was lit, everything changed. The firelight shifted their focus. The darkness erased the physical world around them. Suddenly, 81% of their conversations shifted to storytelling. They stopped talking about the present. They started talking about the past, the future, and the spirit world. Why does this matter? It matters because your brain evolved around that fire. The darkness forced our ancestors to look inward. Without the visual distractions of the day, their minds were free to wander. They began to imagine things that weren't there. They began to construct narratives. They began to invent gods, monsters, and myths. This wasn't just entertainment. It was a survival mechanism. Evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar suggests that these nighttime stories were the glue that held early human societies together. When you sit around a fire and share a story, your brain releases oxytocin. You feel connected to the people around you. You build trust. You form a tribe. The night wasn't a time of isolation. It was the time of ultimate connection. But there is a darker side to this story. The night also birthed our deepest anxieties. When you lie in bed today, staring at the ceiling, your mind often races with worst-case scenarios. You worry about your job. You worry about your relationships. You feel a creeping sense of dread. Why do you do this? You do this because your ancestors did it. In the darkness, the physical threats of the day were replaced by psychological threats. The rustle in the bushes could be a predator. The shadow in the corner could be an enemy. Your brain evolved to be hypervigilant at night. It is a feature, not a bug. Psychologist A. Roger Eckhart spent years studying historical sleep patterns. He found that before the Industrial Revolution, humans didn't sleep in one solid 8-hour block. They slept in two distinct phases, separated by a period of wakefulness in the middle of the night. During this midnight waking period, people didn't just lie there. They talked, they prayed, they reflected on their dreams, they engaged in deep, uninterrupted thought. Eckhart calls this the watch. It was a time of profound introspection. Your ancestors used this time to process their emotions and make sense of their lives. They confronted their fears in the safety of the dark. But today, we have banished the dark. We have flooded our nights with artificial light. We stare at glowing rectangles until the moment we close our eyes. We have eliminated the watch, and in doing so, we may have lost something essential to our humanity. We have lost the time and space for deep reflection. We have lost the firelight. When you feel anxious at night, it isn't just modern stress. It is your ancient brain crying out for the darkness it evolved to inhabit. It is the ghost of your ancestors, waiting for the fire to be lit. They didn't fear the night. They used it. They used it to dream, to connect, and to understand themselves. So tonight, when the sun goes down, don't just flip the switch. Turn off the lights. Sit in the dark for a moment. Let your mind wander. You might be surprised by what you find. Because the truth is, you are not just a creature of the day. You are a child of the night.